reading experience. And here are our first storyboards. We tried first to design aspects of the application that we wanted to demo. We had to constantly remind ourselves that our job was not to design an application, it was to design a compelling demo. And we knew that eventually we'd actually have to get to the designing the app part, so we had to weigh demoing any feature against the feasibility of being ready with those features at launch. And we didn't want to put any of our colleagues in a bad spot. So again, we defined our primary challenge as how do we design something new, an application that leans into the strengths of the platform, while at the same time felt familiar. And I personally think familiarity in design is really important. So two of our primary goals for the design were, we wanted people to know exactly what to do when they open the app, and we also wanted the application to be undeniably the New York Times. We knew typography would be key to cueing this familiarity, so loading and testing our fonts on the device was one of the very first things we did. And I personally struggled a lot with choosing the right mental model for the application. With Safari on the device, we knew recreating a web-like experience would be a missed opportunity. And the idea of recreating the paper seemed awkward. For the demo, we decided on telling the story that the app is the best of both worlds. And since returning from California, I've thought more about this, and I think we have a very different opportunity ahead of us. The months leading up to my disappearance this past January, and the months following my return, have been a crash course in the specific challenges and rewards involved in designing, launching, improving software built on native platforms. When I started last year, and I tell people ask me when I started at the time, my start date was January 20th, which was also the inauguration of our president, so I'd say that he stole my thunder. So we started last year in one application, one. We now have over 10, including apps for Android, BlackBerry, a real estate application for iPhone, which is my baby, and last week we also launched an insider guide for New York City called Scoop. By this time next year, I'm certain this number will be even larger. I believe apps are a distinct category, different from print and different from web, and they will require us to consider alternative mental models to move forward with our work. In the next 3 years, the use and demand for these applications is going to explode. And if you haven't worked on an iPhone, iPad, or Android app yet, chances are you probably will. So I'm here tonight to share with you some of my experiences designing applications, explain what makes applications different, and what this might mean for the future of our work. So you want to make an iPad app, right? Who wants to make an iPad app? Let's see it. Who's working on an iPad app? And who's launched an iPad app? Anyone? Some dude in the back. You're awesome. Let's meet me afterward. We'll commiserate. So what do you need to know where you start? What I believe is that designing and supporting great applications will demand an approach that's platform-centric, incremental, collaborative, and human-centered. So really what I'm talking about tonight is the way that great applications get built. So a little bit about platforms. The internet was alive and kicking for 30 years or so before its existence started to impact the rest of us. The first fax transmission was a photograph of Calvin Coolidge sent in 1924. But fax machines weren't widely available as consumer devices until the 1970s. In the same way, application software has been around for decades, longer than the internet, in fact. Microsoft Word, Adobe Photoshop, and even browsers are designed for use on a specific platform. In this case, your preferred desktop or laptop operating system. I think we're at a point where applications are going to, again, explode. So get ready for the fallout. And the other thing that I want to clarify is up until this moment, we've been using the term mobile to talk about the various challenges and opportunities in this space. But I want to make a distinction. I think that using the term mobile has a potential to gloss over a distinction that should be made. And now with the iPad, a device that occupies a space between mobile devices and desktops, I think we absolutely need to divide the conversation about what we are designing for in two ways. browsers, and native applications. I'm sure you all have heard by now that mobile devices are predicted to outsell desktops within 2 years. Mobile usage is growing. Anything with a screen and an internet connection can and will have a browser. This includes everything from your iPhone to your Xbox. And unlike applications, browsers are all essentially the same animal, just smaller. Mobile Safari is smaller and cuter than its desktop counterpart. But regardless of the size, the interaction model remains the same.